Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to get started on a new project. I want to make a new purse. So I usually carry a tote bag around, and my crocheted tote bag that I've been using doesn't have any pockets. It's just, there's a few things missing, so I want to make something new. The one I want to make today is going to be built first in the round. So this whole body part is going to be in the round. We're going to start with a circle and then move out until we've got a circle big enough, and then we'll move out straight with some increases just to create that sort of rounded bottom shape. And then we're gonna have a really long strap here. I wanna have a flap that goes over the front of the bag. I wanna have a pocket on the outside, maybe with some decorative trim. And then I wanna have a pocket on the inside just to make this a really functional bag for me. So if you need a new crossbody bag, keep watching. For this project, we're going to need some yarn. I'm using about a number 4 weight and as well a number 3 weight. I've got 3 different colors here. I'm mainly going to be using this variegated yarn, but I'm going to do some trim, and I think I'll do the strap in the brown yarn. But all of the colors are in this one, so I think it should look just fine. You're also going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using 2 different sizes today. I'll be using the 5.5mm as well as the 4mm. The main body of the bag will be the 4mm to keep the stitches nice and tight. You'll also need some scissors, as well as a yarn needle and a sewing needle to weave in your ends and to sew together the project, as well as to sew the pockets onto the project. We're also going to need some stitch markers. If you don't have stitch markers, that's okay. You can just cut a piece of yarn about 3 inches long and use that in place of a stitch marker. We're also going to need some thread. This will be to sew on our button, which means we also need a button. I've picked this one from my stash. It's cute, and I think it goes nicely with this sort of look. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. I'm going to begin with the variegated yarn. First things first, I'm going to create a slip knot. Then I'll insert my hook and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. From here, I'm going to slip stitch to the first chain that I did, slip stitch the round together, and that creates a little donut. We're going to be putting our stitches inside of that donut. So for the first round, we'll start with a chain of 2, 1 and 2, and then into the center of that 3-chain donut, we're going to do a double crochet. I've used a stitch marker here to mark the center of the donut just so I know where to insert my hook. You don't necessarily need to do this, but it can make sure that you're putting it in the same spot each time. So for a double crochet, we will yarn over, insert the hook into where that stitch marker is, the center of the chain 3, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. For a double crochet. Now the chain 2 we started with acts as a double crochet, so right now there would be 1, 2 double crochets in the round. For this first round, we need 9 double crochets in the round. So let's just count through them. We've got 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's 8 double crochets and then the chain of 2 at the beginning for a total of 9. I'm going to join that first round with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2, yarn over and pull through both loops. And now we've got our first round for our bag. We can pull on the tail to close up that bottom, but you can see it's nice and snug now. And now let's move into round number 2. We're going to start round number 2 with a chain of 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. So there's the chain 2 coming out of the stitch. In the base of that chain 2, right here, that first stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over again and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we'll put a second double crochet in the same space. There's 1, and then there's the second one. And now in the next stitch, again, we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's the first one, and here's the second one. just like that. See that? Now we'll do that all the way around, 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. At the end of this round, there should be 18 stitches in the round. There will be 17 double crochets, and then the chain 2 we started the round with, which counts as a double crochet, for a total of 18. So I'm gonna just zoom through the rest of round number 2, and I will see you at the end of the round to show you what we're gonna do next. Here I am at the end of round number 2. I have 2 double crochets in my last stitch, and then you can see there's the chain of 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So here we need 1 more double crochet. In the same space that the chain 2 comes out of, we're going to put 1 double crochet, and that will bring our final number to 18, and then I will slip stitch at the top of the chain 2 to join my round. And now let's jump into round number 3. For round number 3, we're going to start with a chain of 2, 1 and 2. Now in the first stitch of the round, we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. In the following stitch, we'll put 1 double crochet, and in the stitch after that, we'll put 2 double crochets. We're going to repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet in one stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in one stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, until we get back to the beginning of the round. At the end of this round, you should have 27 stitches in the round. I'll meet you at the end of the round to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of round number 3, and so I've just done a double crochet once, and then you can see here we've got the beginning of the round starts with 2 double crochets in one stitch. The chain 2 acts like 1 double crochet in one stitch, and then you can see on the other side 2 double crochets in one stitch, then 1 double crochet. So in the last stitch of the round here, there's going to be 2 double crochets, and that will keep the pattern exactly the same, and it creates the right number of stitches. So we want to have 27 stitches, which is 26 double crochets, and then 1 chain 2 that we started the round with. And I'm going to slip stitch this round together at the top of the chain 2 to join the round, and now we've got 3 rounds in our little circle. For round number 4, we're going to start again with a chain of 2. There's 1, and there's 2, and again in the first stitch we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. In the next 2 stitches we're going to put 1 double crochet in each. 1 in the first stitch and 1 in the next stitch. In the following stitch we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. In the stitch after that, the next 2 stitches actually, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each. There's 1 and there's 2. And then in the following stitch, we'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. And we're going to follow this repeat of 2 double crochets in one stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochets in one stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, all the way around until I get back to the beginning of the round. I'm going to zoom through this, and when I get to the end of the round, I'll show you how we're going to join it and what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of round number 4, and I am loving how these colors are looking together. So I've just done 2 double crochets in one stitch, and then the last stitch of the round I'm going to be putting 1 double crochet in. And if you look at the beginning of the round, our chain 2 acts as another double crochet. So we have 2 in 1, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, then 2 in 1, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 in 1. So it just continues the pattern perfectly. So I'm going to join the round here with a slip stitch, and that's it for round number 4. Let's move into round number 5. Round number 5 begins with a chain of 2, and then just like all of the other rounds, we're going to start with 2 double crochets in the first stitch of the round. There's 1 and there's 2. Now in each of the next 3 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Now in the following stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's number 2. Now in the next 3 stitches, we'll put 1 double crochet in each. And we're going to be repeating this all the way around. 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets in one stitch, 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. I'll meet you at the end of the round to show you how it finishes and how to join up for the next round, and then what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of round number 5. I think I left out how many stitches. I don't think I told you that. So the first round is 9, the second round is 18, the third round is 27, fourth round 36, fifth round 45. So we're gonna have 45 stitches in the round at this point. I've just done my last 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. Now I have 2 more stitches in the round. That will be 1 double crochet in each, and then the chain 2 will be our 3rd double crochet before getting back into the 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. So let me just put in my last 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's number 2. And now I'm going to slip stitch at the top of the chain 2 to join round number 5. And there we go. At this point, our little circle is the base size of the bag. I'm now going to start curving out to create a rounded shape. So let's jump in to round number 6. Round number 6 is going to start with a chain 2. There's 1, and there's 2. Now in this round, we're going to switch to half double crochets. The base here has been double crochets. So for this side part, we're gonna thicken up the side a little bit. I'm going to yarn over, insert into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops for a half double crochet. In this round, we're just going to put 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. No increases in this round, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. I'm gonna zoom through this and I will meet you at the end of round number 6 to show you what we're gonna do next. Here I am at the end of round number 6 with no increases. I'm going to join the round at the top of the chain 2 with a slip stitch. And now we've got 1 round with no increases. This is gonna start curving. This is a flat circle right now. It's gonna start curving it up in a little bit more of a round shape. So now let's jump into round number 7. We'll start with a chain of 2, 1 and 2. And then in the first stitch, we're gonna put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. In the next 4 stitches, we're just gonna put 1 double crochet in each stitch. There's 1, there's 2, 3, and 4. In the following stitch, we're gonna put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And then in the next 4 stitches, 1 double crochet in each stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in the next stitch, I'll put 2 double crochets. And I'm gonna repeat that all the way around for round number 7. At the end of round number 7, you should have 54 stitches in the round. There will be 53 double crochets and then 1 chain of 2 for a total of 54. I'll see you at the end of the round to show you what we're gonna do next. All right, I'm just about at the end of the round now. So there's my last 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. Then there's 1, 2, I have 1 left, 3, and then our 4th one is the chain 2 we started the round with. And then it repeats the pattern again. So there's my last double crochet, and I will join the round with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2. And now for the next round, we're gonna do another round of half double crochets with no increases. So I'll start with a chain of 2, then in that first stitch, I'll yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Oops. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So there's no increases in this one, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. I'll meet you at the end of the round to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of round number 8. I'm going to put my last half double crochet in the round. There we go, and then I'll join my round at the top of the chain 2 with a slip stitch. There we go. And at the end of round 8, you should still have 54 stitches in the round. Now, for round number 9, we're going to start with a chain of 2. We're going to put 2 double crochets in the first stitch of the round. There's 1, and there's 2. In the next 5 stitches, we're gonna do 1 double crochet in each stitch. 1, 2, and 5. In the following stitch, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets. There's the first one, and there's number 2. And then in the next 5 stitches, I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch. There's 1 and 5. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around for round number 9. At the end of round number 9, you should have 63 stitches in your round. 62 double crochets, and then 1 chain of 2 that we started the round with. I'm going to zoom through the rest of the round and I'll meet you at the end to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am coming up to the end of the round. I did 2 double crochets out of 1 stitch, then 5 double crochets. Now I'll put my last time of repeating 2 double crochets in 1 stitch on the round here, and then there should be 4 stitches left in my round. 1, 2, 3. There's the 4th one, and then the 5th one is the chain 2 we started the round with. I will join with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2, and there we go. We've finished round number 9. Now for rounds number 10 and 11, we're going to do no increases. We'll start with a chain of 2, and we're just going to put 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So there's no increases here. There's still going to be 63 stitches in the round, and we're going to do that for 2 rounds. So rounds number 10 and rounds number 11, half double crochet around with no increase. I'm going to zoom through these rounds because it's just half double crochet around, and I'll meet you at the end of round number 11 to show you what we're going to do next. All right, here I am at the end of round number 11. I have 1 half double crochet left in my round. And then I'm going to join the round at the top of the chain 2 with a slip stitch. There we go. And this is what we're looking like now. You can see the seam a little bit, but don't worry, we're going to be disguising that later. But you can see now the shape that's starting to happen. It's getting a little rounder. We're going 1 more increase, I think, to make it just a little wider, and then we're going to be working up straight after that. For round number 12, we're going to start with a chain of 2. 1 and 2. From here, we're going to put 2 double crochets in the first stitch. There's 1, and there's 2. Now in the next 6 stitches, we're just going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch. So there's number 1, here's number 2, and then 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. In the next stitch, I'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And then in the next 6 double crochets, or in the next 6 stitches rather, I will put 1 double crochet in each. And I'm going to repeat this all the way around. 6 stitches with 1 double crochet in each, 1 stitch with 2 double crochets, 6 stitches with 1 double crochet in each, 1 stitch with 2 double crochets. And I'll repeat that all the way around. At the end of the round, you should have 72 stitches. That's 71 double crochets, and then the chain 2 we started the round with for a total of 72 stitches. I'll see you at the end of round number 12. Here I am at the end of round number 12. So I've got my last 2 double crochets coming out of 1 spot here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last stitch of the round will be my 5th one. And then the chain 2 we started the round will be our 6th stitch. So it'll still be 6 double crochets in between each of those increase stitches. I'm going to slip stitch round number 12 together to join the round, and I'll start round number 13 with a chain of 2. Let's take a look. So I think this is probably wide enough. I'm a little nervous that I'm not quite wide enough for like a good sized bag, but I'm also thinking that's just the base. So with the sides, maybe it's big enough. I might do 1 more increase, but before I do that increase, I'm gonna do 3 rounds of half double crochets. So round number 13, 14, and 15 are all going to be with no increases, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So we're gonna have 72 stitches for all 3 rounds, number 13, 14, and 15. I'll meet you back here at the end of round number 15 to show you what I'm gonna do next and to see if we need 1 more increase for the overall size of the bag. See you then. All right, so here's what it's looking like after my 15th round. Right now it's looking kind of like a hat, but it's not gonna be a hat. It's gonna be a bag and it's gonna look really cool. So I think that we should do 1 more increase. It might be big enough, but I think that we can always bring it back in if it's too wide. Right now, I think we're almost there for size. So I think 1 more increase should do us perfectly. First, let me finish up 15 here. I've got 1 more half double crochet, and then I will join my round with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2. Then for round number 16, I'm gonna start with 2 chains. Then I'm gonna put 2 double crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2. Then in the next 7 stitches, I'm gonna put 1 double crochet in each stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in the next stitch, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And then I'm gonna repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet in the next 7 stitches, and then 2 double crochets in the stitch after that. 1 double crochet in each of the next 7 stitches, and 2 double crochets in the stitch after that. At the end of this round, you should have 81 stitches in your round. That'll be 80 double crochets, and then the chain 2 we started the round with for our 81st stitch. I'm gonna zoom through the rest of this round, and I'll see you at the end of the round to show you what we'll do next. Here I am at the end of round number 16. So you can see here, I've got my last 2 double crochets coming out of 1 stitch. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last stitch of the round will be our 6th double crochet. And then the chain 2 we started the round will be our 7th. So they're still continuing the pattern. Then I'm gonna join round number 16 with a slip stitch, and I'm gonna start round number 17 with a chain of 2. Now, rounds number 17 all the way up to round number 29, I'm going to be doing the exact same repeat. I'm going to be doing half double crochets 1 time in each stitch around. No increases until we get to the end of round number 29. I think we're actually done entirely with increases. So we're going to remain at 81 stitches for all of those rounds. I'm gonna zoom through until I get to the end of round number 29 in half double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of round number 29 to show you what we're gonna do next. Okay, here is what the bag is looking like after finishing all 29 rounds. So I did 12 rounds here of half double crochets. At this point, the measurements for the bag are about 10 inches across and about 9 inches tall. And this is the point at which we're pretty much done for size. We're gonna be adding a band at the top in single crochets just to have like a more sturdy fabric at the top. So that's what we're gonna be getting into next. Let me just finish these last few half double crochets and then we will switch. I think we're gonna switch into the blue yarn now in order to do that band around the outside. All right, there I am at the end of the round. Now let's zoom in for the yarn change. So I'm going to cut my yarn with a little bit of a tail, and I'm going to finish with a slip stitch here, but I'm gonna slip stitch with both yarns, the new yarn and the old yarn. So I'm gonna insert the hook into the stitch and yarn over. Actually, at first I think I will tie myself a little knot. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. There we go. And now with the blue yarn, I'm gonna chain 1, and then in the base of the chain 1, I'm going to do a single crochet. And now I'm going to single crochet around for 5 rounds. I'm gonna do 5 rounds of single crochet to create a thicker edge to our bag. And I'm holding parallel to the work, the tail ends, and I'm just crocheting over them instead of leaving them out and then weaving them in later. Since it's a single crochet, it's holding it down pretty tight, pretty close to the work. So I'm gonna zoom through 5 rounds of single crochet with my blue yarn, and then we are going to, what are we gonna do then? I think then we're gonna make the strap. So I'll see you in 5 rounds. All right, here I am at the end of that 5th. I'll put my last single crochet in, and then I'm going to slip stitch that round together, and I'm going to cut my yarn now, and I'm gonna weave in that end. And I'm also at this point gonna weave in the end from the beginning on the beginning bottom circle, but here is the base size now. So we've got the flat bottom, so that'll sit kind of like that, and then the curved sides, and now we have this top. We might stitch down to kind of make the edge thicker. That might be an idea, or stitch it inward to make the edge thicker. I don't know yet. Now that I've got those ends woven in, I'm going to turn this inside out so that the inside of my bag is kind of the wrong side of the fabric with the crochet. I think that looks really nice. You can see how it looks with the single crochets. Then what I want to do is roll the single crochets forward, and then I'm going to take my needle and my yarn and I'm going to stitch this down. I meant thread, needle and thread. So I'm going to get a really long piece of this thread, and I'm going to double up the thickness, and I'm going to thread this thicker needle. Now before I start, I'm going to just weave the end along the stitches so that I have nothing to weave in after. So I'm gonna just pull them first up until the thread disappears, and then I'm going to weave down, back down to where that little tail comes out. That's gonna make a really secure end, and I don't have to tie any knots or anything. All right, now we're going to curve that brim over on itself, and I'm just gonna pick up the back loop here, but I'm going to go through where the two colors meet. I'm gonna go through that stitch, and then just through the outer loop on the top of the stitch, like that, just the top loop. Then I'm gonna pull that, and I'm gonna pull it down to start myself off here. And then I'm gonna go into the next stitch and the next outer loop of the following stitch. And now I'm gonna do a blanket stitch. So this loop that I've got left behind, if I pull the needle, you can see this loop left behind. I'm gonna pass the needle down through that loop and pull that nice and snug. And that's gonna be our blanket stitch. I'm gonna do the next stitch now. So I'm gonna come underneath the whole stitch and then just the outer loop, pass the needle down through that loop, pull the stitch down. There's 2 blanket stitches now. And I'm gonna do that in the next stitch and the next stitch. There's my 3rd one and my 4th one. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around until the top of this bag has this double thick rim. So I'm gonna zoom through that because it's gonna take a while, and I will see you once I've stitched down the entire brim. I'm almost at the end of my round where I'm stitching down the edge of the bag, and I think it is looking so good. I think stitching it down was a great idea. The edge is now nice and thick, and as you can see, I switched thread colors. I ended up adding embroidery floss because I had some that matched. There we go. Now we've made it all the way around the whole top of the bag. Now I'm going to weave in this end. So now that that brim is stitched down, I'm going to find where my rows or rounds were joining, and this is like the area where the joins are, and I'm going to center that in the front of the project. That way, this is going to be covered by a flap. There's also going to be a button here, so there's going to be a lot of distraction from the sort of imperfect nature of where I joined my rounds. And then there's also going to be a pocket here, so again, that'll be fully covered. But this is going to be our front, which means our back is going to have the flap coming out of here, and that flap will flip forward on the bag. So to do this, I am going to have to surface crochet to connect my yarn, my working yarn, down to the bottom of this section after the blue outline. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to take my 5.5mm hook. I'm going to mark just an even amount of stitches so that I have enough room to attach straps. So I know my straps are gonna be about that thick, so there and there. So I know my back will be about here. there. Now I'm going to count. I'm gonna slip stitch in where the blue meets the variegated yarn, and then I'm going to surface crochet slip stitch across. Let me zoom you in and show you how. All right, using the rainbow variegated yarn again, I am going to go where my first stitch marker is, and I'm going to insert my hook into the variegated yarn section and come up through the next stitch. Then I'm going to take the working yarn and I'm going to pull that through. Then I'm going to stick the crochet hook down through the next stitch, coming up through the stitch after that. Then I will yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Then insert down into the next stitch, up into the next stitch, then yarn over, pull through, pull through. Like, am I making this harder for myself? I feel like I'm making this harder. Maybe if I treat it like regularly crocheting, maybe that'll work. Okay, so I come through here. Yeah, okay, that works. Just me making it more difficult. So there, then go back down, come up in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through one, pull through two, down, up through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then down, up. Okay, so this is actually easier. I thought I had to do it holding it the other way, but I'm just gonna slip stitch now like this all the way around until I get back to the front. This is gonna be where we can connect to create a new like flap of fabric. So I'm gonna zoom through the rest because I'm just slip stitching all the way to the next stitch marker. And when I hit the next stitch marker, I will show you what we're gonna do next. I'm just gonna zoom through this because it's just slip stitches. So one surface crochet slip stitch in each stitch until I reach the stitch marker, and I will see you then. Here I am coming up to the second stitch marker now, almost done with these slip stitches. And once I hit that second stitch marker, I am going to chain one. So there's my last slip stitch here, and then I'm gonna chain one and turn my work. Now, this row of slip stitches that we just did, we're going to use that as the basis for the next row. So I'm going to single crochet. I'm still using the 5.5 millimeter hook. I'm gonna single crochet in each of those slip stitches all the way across. By using a bigger hook, the stitches are going to have a little bit more air in them, so they're gonna have a bit of a different drape than using the 4 millimeter hook. And I think it's gonna look good for the flap over the bag. Here I am coming up to the end of that first single crochet row, and also coming back to the beginning where we did our first slip stitch. So I'm gonna pull the tail down a little bit just to tighten that last stitch. And in that last slip stitch, I will put a single crochet, but I'm going to do the single crochet with both the tail and my working yarn just to kind of shore up the side of the work. Okay, and now I'm going to chain one and turn. All right, so here's what it looks like after that row. You can now see the actual back part of the fabric that we're going to be working forward, and it is in front of the brim, so when wearing the bag, that brim will still show, and then the flap will come over the bag like this. And now it's going to be time to work back and forth on this short row that will make up the flap that goes over the bag. I am going to go for as many rows as it takes to get approximately halfway down the body of the bag. You might not want to go that long, and it might take you a different number of rows than me to get to that point for your bag. So I'm gonna zoom through this part, and I'll come back once it's the length that I'm happy with. I'll give you the measurements at that point and the number of rows it took me, but I'm just gonna zoom through it because it's single crochets across, chain one and turn, single crochet across, chain one and turn. And once I get to the end of my new flap rectangle, I'll come back and show you what we're gonna do next. All right, I think I've got the length I want for my flap. I need to do a little bit of reducing on this rectangle now. So let me tell you how many rows I ended up with here from our connection row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so I have 19 rows. I think I'll do one more just so that I have a nice even 20. And then we're gonna do some decreases to create a little bit more of a rounded shape. But at this point, those 20 rows are gonna be just about 4 inches long. And my flap is also about 8 inches wide. So I'll finish that last row and then I'll meet you back here to do our decreases. All right, here is where we are at the end of that 20th row. So again, it's about 4 inches wide or 4 inches long. And now I'm going to do a decrease row. So what that looks like is a single crochet 2 together for the first 2 stitches and the last 2 stitches of the row. To do that, I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch. And then I will yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now there's 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Other than those first 2 stitches and last 2 stitches, I'm just gonna single crochet across. So I'll zoom through to the end of the row and then I'll show you how I'm going to single crochet 2 together for the last 2 stitches. All right, here I am at the end of that row. There's 2 stitches left in the row. I'm gonna insert my hook into the second last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm gonna insert into the last stitch of the row, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now there's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that is single crochet 2 together. Then I'll chain 1 and turn. So now for row number 22, I'm just gonna single crochet across. So this was row number 21. We did a decrease at the beginning and end of the row. Row number 22, I'm just gonna put 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way across. At the end of row number 22, I'll come back here to show you what we're gonna do for row number 23. All right, here I am at the beginning of row number 23. We're gonna do another decrease. So row number 22 was just single crochet across. Row number 23, we're gonna insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then into the next stitch, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Otherwise, single crochet across, but in the last 2 stitches, I'm going to single crochet 2 together again. So this will be another decrease row. Row number 24 is just going to be a single crochet across row. From this point, we're going to repeat that 2-row repeat. 1 row where we've got single crochet 2 together in the first and last stitches of the row, and then 1 row where we single crochet across. And I'm gonna do that for, I think, 6 more rows. So currently row number 23, I'm gonna do 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then row number 30 we are going to finish with a single crochet across row. So I will meet you back here when I get through those decreases. I'm just going to zoom through them because it's the same thing, the same repeat of 2 rows, and I'll meet you back here once I get to the end of my decreases. All right, here is what it's looking like after 30 rows. I think I'm happy with that. So this will be a little fuller when there's stuff in it. So I'm anticipating it sitting about here normally. So I am going to need to add a buttonhole now because there's gonna be a button here on the final bag. So to add a buttonhole, I'm going to just count from both sides until I get to the middle stitch. All right, and now I'm gonna use a stitch marker to mark that center stitch. And then I'm just gonna count out to make sure they're both the same. Okay, so it's actually 2 stitches for the middle, these 2 stitches. So that's where I'm going to put my buttonhole. Let me zoom you in to show you how. All right, for this next part, I'm going to use the bright blue yarn again. So I'm gonna cut my variegated yarn off and attach in the blue yarn. I'm gonna leave myself long tails so I can weave that in later. But I'm going to start this next row with single crochets again, but now in the blue yarn, and I'm gonna single crochet up to where the stitch marker hits first. So this stitch marker hits 2 middle stitches for my rectangle here. I'm going to go up to the first stitch marker with single crochets. So here I am at that stitch marker. I'm gonna put my last single crochet into where the stitch marker is first coming out of. And then I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to reattach with a single crochet at the second spot where the stitch marker comes out of. After the chain 6, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And that single crochets it back to the work. And then I'm going to single crochet my way to the other end of the work. Now that I'm at the end of that row, I'm going to take out my large hook and I'm going to switch back in to the 4mm hook, and I'm going to just finish the row with that smaller hook, still with single crochets, and then I'm going to chain one and turn. Now for this next row, I'm going to single crochet with the smaller hook across this row, and I'll meet you when I get to the buttonhole to show you what we're gonna do to get around that. So here I am at the buttonhole. I'm going to do the last single crochet into that first stitch of the buttonhole, and then these 6 chains, I'm going to put 6 single crochets into the hole that is left by this 6 chains. So I'm not actually gonna put it into each chain stitch, just into the center of those 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 6. And then where that second single crochet comes out, I'm gonna single crochet back to that piece, and then I'm going to single crochet across the rest of the row. Here I am at the end of that second row. I'm gonna do my last single crochet, and here's how it's looking. I like how it looks. The button fits into it well, and you can still see a bit of the edge around the outside, but the button can like make its way. So that's good. And I'm trying to decide if it needs slip stitches. I'm kind of leaning towards no. Like if I should have slip stitches on the outside, I'm kind of leaning to no right now. So I think at this point I'm going to just yarn over, pull a loop through, and trim my yarn and weave in all of these ends. And then I think it's gonna be time to attach the straps. We've got our buttonhole in place now. We're gonna be able to position the button so that it holds the buttonhole in like the right spot. And now let's get started on doing the strap. So for the strap, I'm going to use this brown yarn. It's pretty tough. It feels strong and a little bit rough, but it's about a number 3. And I'm gonna start with a slip stitch. From here, I'm going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 11. From here in the second chain from the hook, 1, 2, I'm gonna do a single crochet. From here, I'm gonna single crochet across that row. At the end of the row, there should be 10 stitches in your row. Here I am at the end of the row. Put my last single crochet in there. And now I'm not gonna chain 1, I'm just gonna turn the work. From here in the first stitch, I'm gonna do a single crochet, and I'm gonna single crochet across. At the end of the row, again, I'm not gonna chain 1, I'm just gonna turn the work around. And I'm going to keep doing this. I'm just gonna do a million rows of these short 10 stitch rows in single crochets. It's probably gonna be, oh gosh, it's gonna be more than 100 rows. It might be 200 rows. So I'm just gonna keep going with this. I'm gonna zoom through and I'll touch in every once in a while so you can see how long mine is getting. But I will be back here once it gets to the length that I want, which is gonna be a long crossbody bag hanging around my hip length. And I'll tell you how many rows that takes, and I'll tell you what the final measurement is once I get there. So I'm gonna zip through and I will see you when I finish. All right, I'm coming up to the end of how long I need this strap to be, and now it's gonna be time to do some finishing on the strap before we can attach it to the bag. What are you talking about, birdies? My birdies are being so chatty. Okay, so there's my last stitch on my strap. I'm gonna just yarn over the last stitch and pull it through, and then I will be weaving in that end. So let me measure this out and I'll let you know how long it is. So this is about 48 inches long, this long strap that I've made. And the next step in this strap's construction is I'm going to press it under my iron to get it really nice and flat and stretched out. And then I'm going to fold over the sides like this so that we can stitch this down with embroidery floss to create this width of strap that I'm looking for. So first I'm gonna press it into shape, and then I will come back here to show you how I'm going to use embroidery floss to sort of close up that strap. All right, I have ironed and folded my strap so that the sides are coming in. And now I'm going to take my yarn needle and some embroidery floss, and I'm going to stitch, excuse you, I'm going to stitch this down. I'm gonna connect these two pieces and stitch it down. I might do something interesting on the other side, or I might just like make a tube, but I kind of want the tube to be staying flat, so I kind of want to go through the entire work as well. So I'm gonna just thread up my needle and then I'll meet you back. I've changed my mind, I wanna use the blue thread. So I'm gonna start a couple inches up from the bottom. I'm not gonna stitch down right at the bottom. I think I want it to attach to the actual bag with its full width. So I wanna start the thinner part of the strap a little ways up, just to give it that space. So I'm going to start by just weaving my end through the bottom here. Then I'm gonna come up and pull this end through, and that's just gonna get me started. I think I'll tie a little knot just to keep that end more or less secured while we're working. So I think I'm going to connect these bits together, right? Cool. And then how do I get the bottom incorporated? I guess I could do like down through the whole thing. How's that look? It's a trial and error situation. Okay, that's not bad. Having these little dashed lines on both sides, that could be cool. Yeah, let's do that. So I'll go up to the next stitch, come down through the work, up through the next stitch, coming up through the work. Okay, then down through the work, and then up. That kind of works. I mean, it's very slow. That would be very slow work. And then this is what the other side will look like. That's kind of cool. Hi, I think I might do that because then there will be like blue accents on the strap. Let's try that. This is gonna take me forever, so I'm gonna zoom through this. See you at the next the next update. It's gonna take forever. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. All right, my straps are finished. I've left the edge open so that we can stitch down the strap to the side of the bag, and I'm going to mark it up where the flap ends. That's where I'm gonna attach the strap. And I think I'm gonna attach it down here on this flat side and then have it be disconnected where the blue part happens. And I'm just gonna blanket stitch around the outside. And then I'll do the same thing with the other end of the strap to the other side of the bag, like that. So I'm gonna zoom through this part, I think, because it's just gonna be blanket stitches, and we've already done those to stitch down the rim of the bag. So I think should be pretty straightforward. We're gonna go down, around, and up to connect the strap. All right, so I got a little carried away after I stitched on the straps, which look so cute. I also did a little embroidery. On this side, I did a little mushroom inside of a brown circle. And then on the other side, I did a little tree. This is looking so cute. I wish that I could like convey how cute it actually looks. Okay, so now the next step for me is going to be to add the button. I also want to add a pocket. I'm going to link a tutorial up here for this rectangle that I made because I'm just gonna tell you what I did. I'm not gonna show you because I did it off camera. This is a woven stitch or a moss stitch, and I just did a rectangle. I believe it's like 25 by 25 stitches. And then I folded over about an inch of that, and I'm going to put that on as a pocket on my bag right here. I want it to be covered by the flap, but I want a little pocket here like for cards and stuff. So I'm going to line it up centered as best as possible, and then I'm going to stitch it with a blanket stitch all the way to the corner, all the way around the corner, all the way up. And I'm just gonna zoom through that because I'm just doing more blanket stitches on this. I'm just gonna line it up first, and I'll see you once I get this pocket on. All right, I just stitched on the pocket with blanket stitches all the way around, and they do go through the project, but you don't see them very much because it's embroidery floss. So now we have a functioning pocket, which is super duper. And now I wanna add a lining into the bag. I already did mine, so I'm just going to show you on a smaller piece of fabric what I did, so that if you want to make a lining for something, you can do it too. So here's what my lining looks like. You can see it's got a rounded bottom, but it is still a square. So the rectangle you'll need for your lining has to be as long as the circumference around your bag. So if you take your measuring tape and stick it to one side and then just sort of pull it across and measure around, that's how long you need the fabric to be. The height of the fabric should be about the height of the bag. So measure the whole height of your bag, and it should be about that plus a little bit. You want it to be a little bit taller than it needs to be. I'm just gonna straighten out this bottom edge. And then what I did for my lining is I folded the rectangle over on itself and then cut the corners to round them like that. And I thought that was going to be a perfect lining just like this. But then I realized when the bag is sewn, it won't work like this way. That won't stick together properly. So I folded over again like this. You can see when you open up the rectangle, you have two U shapes. So I folded those onto themselves and then folded the rectangle again. And then from here, I matched up this curved side with this side. So I could just sort of like this, just matched it as best I could, like that. And then when I open it up, you can see there's 4 scallops. The next thing I did was with the side I want in the bag facing in, so right side in, wrong sides out, I folded the rectangle where I am going to have a seam, and then I sewed down this side and down the first scallop until I hit the middle. Then I opened up my little shape and then pinned the top to the next top of the scallop like that. And then I stitched down that scallop. Then I wove the thread back up to the top, and then the next scallop, I connected it in. And I did the same thing, seam down, weave up, and then at that point there's 1 more scallop left because there's 4 of them, and then I connect that last scallop. So then at this point I've got the bottom entirely closed up, but because of those rounded scallops, we end up with a rounded square shape. So you can see they each have 1 side, but you see this bottom, when I lay the lining flat, it's curved. So then I cut some notches in the curved area after I put my seams. I did a split back stitch, which is an embroidery stitch. I'll put a tutorial up here for that stitch, but I did a split back stitch on all of those seams. And then this is going to be sitting inside my bag. That way when I stick my hand in, there's no raw edges. The bottom will be entirely finished. Look at how nice that lined up. Gorgeous. So now this is gonna go inside my bag. Here's the bag. I'm gonna put this lining inside of it with all of the edges and seams so that you can't see them. So now the inside of the bag will look finished. And then I'm going to fold over the top of this fabric and I'm going to line it up with the blue lip of the bag on the inside. So I'll take this this 1 seam and I'll place it, will I place it in the back? Yeah, I guess I'll place the side seam in the back. There's only, not side seam, the 1 seam there is. And then I'll pin this down right to where the blue lip starts, and then I'll just do some whip stitches or blanket stitches, I haven't decided, along this edge all the way around the bag. I'm gonna zoom all the way through this because it is so much stitching. I think I will probably use the same brown thread again unless I can find a darker brown, but I'm gonna jump in now, so I'll see you once this is stitched in. I finished the lining and it looks so good. Look at how good that looks. It was the perfect size, no puckering. I ended up doing a blanket stitch right to where the blue lip is, so it's perfect. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I'm so pleased with this lining. Okay, so now I'm gonna weave in this lining end, and then it's gonna be time for us to put on the button. All right, so the button is gonna go just underneath the pocket. We want the pocket to be completely covered by the flap, which will put our button right around there. So I'll just pick up the stitch, pick up the button, and then I'm gonna tie a knot, and then I'm gonna stitch it down with a million just wrap around stitches where I'll go through the buttonhole, through the bag, through the buttonhole, through the bag. There we go for the tail. All right, the button is now on. I didn't go through the lining with my stitches, which is good. And now we can close the bag, and the buttonhole fits perfectly. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I am so happy. Oh, this is very good. Okay, look how good it looks. Look how finished the edge is. Oh, I'm so pleased. Okay, and now I'm going to do the finishing touches and I'll see you when it's done. Ta-da! It's finished! Okay, so the bag turned out amazing. I'm so pleased with it. I love the round shape. It hangs so cute. It kind of slouches a little in the middle when it's hanging. So it has like kind of a slouchy boho sort of vibe. I like the bright button. I think that's cute. The strap turned out perfect. I did these stitches through the entire strap and I think it looks so good, and the thickness of it is perfect. Look at that thickness. It's like the perfect size size for a crossbody bag. And then again, on the inside, if we open her up, we have a pocket that is invisibly stitched on because the thread matches the pocket. Perfect pocket. It's got a little bit of a thicker top, which is great. It's big enough, I think it fits my phone. Yeah, look, it fits my, well, it's a little snug, but it fits my phone. I'll stretch it out so that it'll fit, but if not, at least it'll fit it this way, and it will fit my little mini wallet thing that my cards go in. And then the inside is one big pocket. I think it looks so good. I know the lining doesn't technically match the bag, but I think it carries the same vibe. We've got blue, we've got brown, we've got black, blue, brown, black. There's that grayish beige, and then there's like a light white. So even though it doesn't match, I think it looks great. It's still curling a little. I did some top stitching embroidery on this to try and fix the curling. It hasn't quite fixed it yet, but I think as I wear it and kind of beat it up, it'll set in a way that I like. But what do you think? Is this not the cutest thing? I would say, are you gonna make one? But I don't know how well these instructions came out. So if this is enough for you to make the bag, then I hope you make it. And if it's more of a make along, then I hope you enjoyed. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you to everyone who's supporting the channel. Here's the list of channel supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to join, check the links in the description box down below. Don't forget to like the video, and I will see you next week. Bye!